It never fails. Chime in. Oh man. Ah, all right. Wait.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on that counter. There we go. I'm sure we're live. I'm sure we're live. I'm sure. Are we live? I think we're live
It's
with the great
Monch.
Paul Monsky, former writer of AC Comics and many other things. This is going to be a tantalizing tale to tell your children. So tune in right now, right here on the Devil Flyer Network. Hey, Momentum Comics.
Hey.
Pooh! That's the ash can up on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Paul's own project is up on Indiegogo. He's going to be kind of my co-host today.
Oh.
And as we yeah, who's like, well, look at it. Prestigious is indeed. Since we're shilling not only his project, I'm going to play my full trailer while I pull his up. Let the people pile in. Tell the chat. What was that?
I said I like that trailer. I didn't know it was continuing on. I was like, I like the graphics. I like what you've done there.
Oh yeah, we took Pedro's old trailer for the black and white ash can, sort of refurbished it and added some new music and Doc Blaylock, who's I was going to play next here. This is his original trailer, not the one that's up on the campaign. He just kind of added sound effects and screaming and gunshots and things like that. He helped me put my new trailer together. So let's take his is real short. Let's take a look at his trailer.
Okay.
Plus, we don't show Doc enough love around here. We've got to do that. Yes, you can snap along.
Yeah, I
58
like that.
backers. If you take me away, 57 backers. We are $15 away from hitting 30, no, I wish it's 3,500, 3,300. So woohoo!
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just an update for my campaign. We were fully funded $2,000 in at the very end of day 4. I've seen other campaigns do better. I've seen some campaigns do worse. But yeah, I want to show you the difference. That was the early trailer for Doc. Here was the later trailer. Yes, I know, but you know you love it. Yes, it's Rex's choppy ass theater. What are you gonna do? Get better internet? Maybe. Yes, Hex Allen. That's grandma. You don't want to mess with grandma. Believe it or not, we had Rebel Comics was going to join us, and then I was going to have Paul on, or I didn't mind if I could. I was going to take them both on if I had to. That may be what we're doing Tuesday. We got Kelsey Shannon coming on since his internet was knocked out for about 3 days. Hey, it happens. I mean, when I had John's Longbox on Sunday, Paul, he asked me a question about my Captain America disc back here, and I just answered it, and then my computer went into sleep mode, and I went into panic. So it took me 40 minutes to get back on. I was like, "Oh Lord, let Shadowhawk's phone work for him so he can conduct the interview till I can get back on." I was skeptical if I could get back on, to tell you the truth. It took me about 40 minutes, but got back on and finished the interview. And I've had, been streaming, and then just boo, it goes out, the computer, and they shut you down automatically after a while, I think. But and I've done some chair streams and stuff, but yeah, yeah, I mean, we were believe me, I wasn't, but Rebel Comics will probably join us for a little bit for tomorrow, at least scheduled for Rex Hex and Apex, if you don't mind. We ought to do just a promotion thing, because we got several people that and when you stream different times, right, Paul? It's like sometimes they're better than others for people. People's got lives. Sometimes this time's a good time, and sometimes this would be a terrible time. For Rebel says, "Oh man, I are we still on for Saturday?" I was like, "Saturday? You're supposed to go on for today." I just sent him a link. If Saturday's fine with me. And I gave him an option. You want to come on at 11, and you can come at 4. Hey, I'm easy this time of year, but here pretty soon I'll have to kind of pick and choose when I stream, and frankly, I've been doing a lot of it, but that's how a channel grows, hopefully, and how you can. I'm trying to do as much as I can before I can't do it anymore, and I have nervous breakdown. I'm over in the corner and go, Paul, take over. Paul, how you been, man? You're all right, man.
I'm doing okay.
It's been a coon's age, as we say down here, and we really don't say that, but I thought I'd say it anyway.
Well, we used to say it. To say it.
Yeah. Now, where are you located again, Matt, Paul? Where are you at?
I'm in Northern Virginia now. I'm from Kentucky myself, but I've lived in Northern Virginia now for 30-something years. And
well, I went on. I was relaying to a story. I've got Thursday. I have to drive over to Memphis. You know where that is, of course. And I have to drive over to Mempho, as they call it, most crime-ridden city in America now, Paul.
I didn't realize it had reached that title, but I knew it was
last year and probably this year too. Yeah, it's been bad for a while. They've been in the top 3 hanging around, like some bad rash for a long time. But yeah, I got to drive back over there on Thursday with my neighbor to a cancer place, just I think in Germantown or somewhere around there. We've been there once before during winter, when it was icy and bad conditions, and she wants me to go back over there in case she's too weak to drive back. But I met a man over there. He says, "Yeah, I was born in Tuckerman, Arkansas. I bet you don't know where that is." I said, "I bet I do. I grew up, having relatives there. I've got people buried down there. I know exactly where it is." And he hadn't been there since 1959 himself.
Oh, wow.
Grew up, got big, and then left for home, when he was young.
Yeah.
Went over to Memphis, got married, and they lived in Memphis all these years. But he was from Tuckerman. I was on with Silverline Comics, and I know his parents are from Pickett. You probably don't know where that is either, but they're not. That's just down the road from me. A stone's throw away, as they say. And his dad passed away sadly recently. Yeah, you too. What kind of dog you got, Paul?
She's a hound dog.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah.
Ear? A floppy ear? Drag the ground?
Not quite that long.
Not quite that low to the ground. Okay.
She's I don't even know what she is. She's got about 27 different breeds in her.
Well, I think the most intelligent ones. Now, I have a pure breed. It was given to me. She's a Jack Russell, purebred. Those are expensive little puppies. But fortunately, I knew somebody. She was a family member and got one for me. She had a rat terrier herself, but all my other dogs, the mixed breeds, seem to be the long nose, not the stubby nose, but it seemed like the long nose, sort of terrier breeds or something. They're pretty smart. The most intelligent.
She's pretty smart. She's got some anxiety issues. So
yeah. Well, I do too around you, Paul. I don't know what it is, but I won't blame you as long as I don't wake up with hair on my pillow from stress. I was already turned white.
All my hair's gone.
Yeah, well, no, I know you got it. If that's a couple days growth,
that's
he tried to tell me before we came on. That's only a couple days.
This is probably about.
I'm thinking about calling him Paul Esau Monsky, and he was a hairy man.
Yeah. No.
Swing from trees. We're going to talk about some tantalizing adventures. The first, hey, you can't always get it right at first. The book came out, Tarzan came out, and then the first silent movie, Tarzan, goes back that long, folks.
Mm-hmm.
The first Tarzan, the actor's first name was Elmo.
Yeah.
Elmo Limp Biscuit, because that's not very masculine at all. He had one of these short, what we call weightlifter bodies then. He was, but he wasn't lean like later, Olympic swimmers and things like that played the role. He was more like stocky, a brawler, one of those old wrestlers from the 1800s body, but just the name alone, I said, oh, I got to get that and see that, his first wore a wig, a bushy wig. Silent movies are the best. Hey, Edwin, it's good to see you, brother. We're going to have to get you on here once you launch Ace 3. You got something going on right now. So, links pinned there. But for right now, I'm just got to pull up. You don't mind if I pull it up on Fun My Comic, do you? But now you got it over there at. How's it doing over there on Indiegogo?
It's doing better than on Fun My Comic.
Well, yeah. We got to get
more eyes. There's more eyes. There are more eyes on Indiegogo, I think. But
yeah, I think you're right. It's a bigger platform, and you talked about going to Kickstarter with it. Any plans?
Yeah, I don't know when I want to. When you're doing a campaign, you have to kind of be active and out there and pushing it. And I don't know when I'm going to have the time to do it. So I want to do it at a time when I have some time to actually push it. Yeah, and it's just to see if there's some different eyes on Kickstarter and pick up another couple sales. I'm already to the point where I'm selling it live at conventions. So
okay, so you already have product in hand.
Oh yeah, I got.
So yeah, is that your game plan? I know that's a lot of people's game plan is I want the project printed and ready to ship out before I even do a crowdfunder.
That was pretty much my game plan. It was. It was. I did the crowdfunder with it about 90% done, and so knowing that, really everything was done but the printing when I started the crowdfunder, and then I got it printed up, and I had on the crowdfunds, I said, it'll be shipping by September 2023, and it was out by September 2023. So there's one story in there that's kind of not Halloween related, but ties into, horror and Halloween and old Universal monsters. And so I wanted it in people's hands before October. But yeah.
Well, this is, we're going to be launching Rob Ewing's book, Scrappy and Sauce. We're going to be launching that the 21st. This hasn't went live, but I do want to give him a shout out. Let's look at this trailer. I think you'll enjoy it. Even on. Now wait, I was having deja vu there. That kind of looked like Paul there. Just a little bit. I'm sorry, Paul. Yeah, you see it, don't you?
I do.
I like the coloring on this. That's Paul on the bass, by the way. This might work out pretty good, this trailer for Choppy Ass Lid. Kind of a slow row when it comes to the images anyway. How about that? That looks pretty good, man. I like it. I like his little,
I like
his cartoony style.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a good style. He's been doing things for Timothy Olsen for his Melvin book and Odysseus and something else. I don't know. They're getting into robots now. But yeah, he's been active, kind of doing his own stuff, and he's been working on some things for me. And glad to see he's kind of slowly but surely getting out there more. He did this piece of Devil Flyer artwork on that I auctioned off a couple weekends ago. Came and did this on the show along with another piece. He's pretty good. I like him.
Absolutely.
Got plans to use him. I got to go mail this off today. This is a piece of production artwork. This is, who did this Batman and Robin piece? Without looking up here, of course. Well, Dave Cockrum. That's Dave Cockrum. Huh. You wouldn't think Dave Cockrum would be doing Batman, would you?
No, but, I wouldn't have thought that.
Dave Cockrum with Don Heck inking. Don Heck did the inks on that. But I sold that. I'm going to have to mail that off here before it reaches 5, before the 4 o'clock shadow. So, well, I better find your project over here. Would have already found it if I hadn't got distracted. But thought I'd give a shout out while it was there convenient. Yeah, I'll find my comic is growing. Great, projects have been over there and done some pretty good bank. But yeah, you got to get out there and definitely let yourself be known.
My next one is probably going to be exclusive to Fund My Comic the first go
Is it
around.
really?
And yeah, I think I'm going to run it as a Fun My Comic exclusive, and then after that time period, I'll probably take it to the other platforms. But
I mean, you're saving money right from the get go, and like you said, you can do a separate cover or something like that, an exclusive. I kind of like that, actually. I have plans to go nowhere. I mean, after nowhere past that. I don't want to do Indiegogo or Kickstarter. Just call me lazy. It's like I'm just going to go to the one platform, and if you want it after that, I'll overprint some and have it up on Shopify or eBay or something like that. And but you won't get like some of the exclusive type things. You get what I have. At that point. All right, where are you at here? There's a lot of projects over there. What's this Devil Flyer thing? We already looked at that.
I was third or fourth in your list at the bottom of your page. If I'm remembering right.
Okay.
I was up closer to the top than the bottom.
Yeah. Well, I've not figured that out. It kind of rotates around on me sometimes.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
You're doing better than Poop Man. Poop Man #1 hasn't got his first dollar yet. Nobody wants Poop Man for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've only had like 7 or maybe 7 backers on Fund My Comic. I've had a lot more on Indiegogo, but
right now, okay,
but it's okay because I'm just wherever the money comes in from is fine with me. I just
you don't have it printed up, and even if you don't get funded, it's kind of on storefront there.
Right,
which is kind of like they're in demand. You're still going to fulfill the orders, right? Or you are?
Oh yeah, I'm still filling orders. I had an order a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I mean, when somebody orders it, I
as you know, a couple of days ago, I got a backer. So yeah, they kind of dribble in. Hey, 6480, it's good to see you, brother. Good to see all you wonderful people here. Let's take a look at your trailer. I apologize for the slowness of my internet, but it is what it's going to be. Whoop, I think I've got to start it over at the beginning. For some reason, it didn't want to start at the beginning. Yes, you can learn to flamenco dance, but only on this channel. I like that monster logo. That's nice. Boom. Or did I have that right?
You got it right.
Okay. All right.
3 vas and a boom.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's what I thought. So variety of different jungle, sort of like jungle comics. Was back in the day. Back in the
yeah, I mean it's all the same. I mean the protagonist is the same character, and I wrote all 5 stories.
Okay.
So and there's a through line through the stories, kind of.
Okay. All right.
mean, the last story refers back to one of the earlier stories. So, but it's a jungle adventure character.
And, wow, you even refer to that here in the campaign. In the Golden Age of comic books, 1938 through 56, the Jungle Girl character was ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. Yeah.
Ubiquitous. Yeah. What does that mean, Paul? You're above
everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, yeah, you had Nokia, right? Nokia.
You had Nyoka, you had Rula,
yeah.
You had Rula, okay. You had Camilla, you had Tigra, you had. I mean, there were tons of.
Even on TV, as I remember. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not that old to remember, but I do know something about.
Well, I mean, in the 50s, Sheena had a TV show. Irish McCalla played Sheena, and
yeah,
probably the best Sheena ever.
Right.
Given in terms of just looks. But
this is 80 pager, isn't it?
80 pages of stories. The book's 92 total. You got to throw in some pinups and some like letter from the publisher and stuff like that.
Well, this on the right is Bill Black's
cover. Yeah. Bill Black's head of used to be the head of AC Comics.
Paragon previously,
Paragon Publications, back when he did prozines back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s.
Not Prozac,
prozines, yeah. Kind of like fanzines, but they were all people who were professionals.
Little known like people like
like Jerry Ordway, Jim Steranko, exactly. Yeah. People nobody's ever heard of,
Yeah, they'll never be heard of again. Gorby, I've got some Gorby artwork in there.
Well,
I've got some unused Bill Black covers, man. I got his. He's also, we've covered this before last time you were on, Paul, but that's been a while, brother. I don't even know how long that's been. When you launched, when was that?
That was probably late summer last year.
Okay. All right. So about a year ago.
Almost a year, yeah.
Oh, here we go. We got perfect, just call it up, Rex. There we go. There's the Jungle Girl remake.
Girl. Yeah, that's Bill's, one of Bill's movies.
Signed by Bill Black.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've got, up to a certain degree, I have all of his stuff, like Stormy Tempest. Now, some of the newer ones that he's released, I do not have. And then he harkens back. This guy played Superman, fellas. But he also played Kirk Allen.
He's putting out. I think now he's mostly working on his own new stuff, but he's put out some of the public domain movies from back in that era.
Some of these movies are old now. I mean,
Nicola Ray and Nyoka, those movies. I mean, I don't know if she's still doing them for him. She probably is, but it's good 10, 15 years now. Some of these movies, so he's been. I actually was in one of his.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Do you remember which title it was? Maybe
it was. I was in Stormy Tempest.
Now this isn't one of his, but he signed it. The Lost Planet.
The Lost Planet. Yeah, he did the kind of remake
Heroes
or whatever.
I got that from him. Heroes, TV Space Heroes.
Yeah, I was in the Nyoka one where they had they were at the comic book convention for part of it. They were at the Orlando Comic Book Convention.
I'll look for that.
But you won't see me.
Oh, okay.
I played one of the bad guys who was wearing a robe and a mask.
Oh.
So other than my tennis shoes.
Okay. All right.
I had I was fighting Nyoka I was fighting Stormy, and I had a
Metal Gypsy.
Yeah. I got all these too, man.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's good.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah. Bill actually, I just sent Bill something I had done years ago. He asked if I had a better copy of it, and I sent it to him just yesterday.
This isn't his, but he
No, but
puts together these
he's
compilations,
of the old serials, yeah.
Of the old serials, yeah. Deepest,
Yep.
Darkest Africa, kind of like your book,
Yeah. No, like
serial,
I mean,
Jungle Action.
Jungle Girls were the rage. Yeah, I actually
Well,
not that one, but I wrote part of one of his Blue Bulleteer movies. So
okay, all right. Here's some Jungle Girls and cliffhanger heroines and stuff. Damsels in
yeah,
Distress
yeah,
that he put together. Uh, Fight the Future. Yeah, I've watched all these, by the way. It's been a while,
yeah.
but I got him to sign them all. It's like, could you
Well,
sign,
sure.
all the stuff, Um, you got to have a gorilla, right? Monster
And he
gorilla.
loves there's a gentleman named Chris Castile. He plays the gorilla, and
Okay. Right.
he and Bill get along real well.
Is that him there?
I would imagine so. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
about makeup. I don't know. Might be me.
Yeah. That he might transform into the gorilla. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I haven't watched it in a while, so. But yeah, maybe it was scantily clad women, eh? That
Definitely.
were,
Definitely.
that people were kind of enamored with back in the
50s.
50s.
That
60s.
could have something to do with it.
Yeah.
That could have something to do with it.
Isn't one of his, but this is stuff that he would have grew up. Actually, back here, I have, and I've told you this before, when he was about 8 years old, he's on a stoop and he's reading a comic book, and it's a picture of him as a kid reading a comic book, and somebody got it signed. It's personalized to them, but I bought it off eBay. But it's a early picture of Bill Black as a kid, sitting on his.
I think I've seen that reprinted somewhere. In one of his books. I think I've seen
that. Look at that one, a vampire one there.
Yeah, that's Maria Paris. She's a wonderful person.
And Bill wrote me, man, he does these thick tomes. This is a Frank Frazetta, and I apologize that it's covered up here. He signed it back here, and he said, sorry this took so long. I had to order it from AC Comics, and they were out of stock, but here it is at last. Thanks a million for all your support. It's a big help, Bill. And this was, when he says it's a big help, that's when he was when his wife was going through chemotherapy. So, and I was trying to support him, a little bit here. I'll get that out of the way so that you can kind of see this little known Frank Frazetta cover that he did for Bill. I guess Cryptophore, and then these things
it's probably an old cover. It's probably just a retouched old cover.
Yeah. I mean, pre-code horror. I mean, this retails originally for $29.95. These things that he puts together in black. Well, they're thick. And they ain't cheap.
Well, you're not going to be able to find them original in any kind of good shape.
Right.
And if you do find them in good shape original, you're not going to be taking them, you're not going to really be reading them.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to appreciate them. So,
but
and it's going to cost you a lot more. It's going to cost you a lot more.
Yeah, like the Fem Force, we got Eric and Boyd comes in here, and he sold a bunch of his Fem Force, and he said, I wish I'd never find them, because he tries to go back and get them, and they're not there on eBay. They're not there,
Wow.
I've got original artwork to some of them, and I can't find a copy to go with it, with the original artwork. I own the original artwork. I've got one whole story of thumbnails of the whole story for Fembat, and I'm not even sure if I can get that exact comic to go with it.
Well, they print for years. They printed in house, and so they would print a little over what their diamond order was. And so, and especially, if Diamond dropped a pallet and ruined, a bunch of their books, those books never even made it to the people that, had ordered them from their shop. And so they'd have to go to AC. The overage, AC would sell themselves. So they kept their own warehouse. They still do keep their own warehouse of back stock.
Now,
but so when they run out, it's out. I mean, there's no more of them.
Yeah, Film Force now turned 40 years old, didn't they?
FemForce,
anniversary.
FemForce Special came out in 1984, the end of 84.
Yeah.
So this is their 40th anniversary year for FemForce. The FemForce comic book first issue came out in 1985. So their 40th anniversary is kind of this year and next year, basically. Mm-hmm. And the company's already over 40 years. I mean, it's the longest running independent comic book publisher, small press publisher in the country.
Yeah. And even before that, he had Paragon, which went back to the early 70s or late 69.
Yeah, and maybe. I think because that was more of a mail order, they didn't really consider that part of the market necessarily. But AC was, when the market expanded and there were all kinds of independents and small press people coming in, they were one of the first.
Yeah, besides Charlton and the big two, I mean, there wasn't a lot out there, but it was a mail order, kind of like Bud Plant was doing mail order. Everybody did mail order back then. Even the Joe Kubert.
You'd put an ad in a Marvel or DC book.
Yeah.
For your
Mile High Comics did it for decades, their ads. Yeah. I've actually got a reel of like a couple of to this. I've actually got a reel from him, and it's got his home address on there. It's got him signed it 3 times because it was already signed, and I asked him to sign it. Actually, I have a reel that you put on a player and project up, projector reel of one or two other episodes from Blackhawk here that I bought from him. He was getting rid of a lot of older stuff, putting it up on eBay at the time. And
he's really been
I got a Doll Man Australian comic, and I don't know an issue, don't know the year because they didn't print it in the book. They just put the book out, no indica or anything, and I bought it, and it was damaged on the way here, and or something, and I slightly complained about it. It was damaged, and then I noticed Bill Black, and I knew who he was. I was like, "Oh, Bill, it's fine, it's no problem." We became, sort of over eBay, and then I started ordering all that stuff from him, But it was like once I saw his name, I knew exactly who he was,
He's one who's primarily kept those golden age reprints of publishers that don't exist anymore. He's the one who's if you want to actually be able to see those stories and read them and see the line work, you got to get AC, you got to get Bill's reprint.
That's about it, and they're hard to find, Paul. They are once they're out, and you either grab them or they're gone. They're hard to get on resale.
And the thing is, a lot of people balked at the price. But the price compared to
an original.
The original is,
and they're thick too,
and they're really thick.
And you get to
a
see
lot of them are 100
work.
pages. They're 100 pages. You get to see the line work of these comic book greats from the the 40s and 50s and
obscure stuff. How does he do that, Paul? How does he get all this rare material? Is that out of his collection?
Some of it I think is, but a lot of it they find really beat up copies, and they have a process where they can basically take the color out and restore the line work.
I think it was him.
There's a lot of work to it.
He, back in 2014, when I started messing with him, 14, 15, I was basically mostly in 15 there at the end of 14. So when I first started contacting him, bought from him, didn't even know it was him. And we had that little kerfuffle with that one comic, and I was like, "Oh, you're Bill Black. I'm not going to complain too much to you. You're awesome." Just a great comic book collector. I bought one of his early Tales to Astonish issues, like issue 30 something from him, fresh off the stands, original buyer. That was had the prototype of the Watcher in it. I bought that from him. Still have it. That's one of the gems of my collection.
he's a great guy. And he was, he was kind of the inspiration for me doing, writing comic books and writing stories and so when, I asked him if he would, if I could get a cover from him, and when he was like, yeah, I can do something for you, I was pretty overjoyed about that. So
yeah.
And there's a Gorby art piece and a pinup inside the book that I was pretty happy with. Being able
I've
to
got
get,
some Gorby original stuff in there. Even some designs that never made it. Redesigns of like costumes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got some Gorby original art myself.
Yeah,
so it's
well, I mean, I didn't know, till I started buying him, even who Gorby was. Although I probably have some of it in my collection, especially the AC stuff. But
he's another, I mean, really good guy. Brad's.
There's also Hinky, isn't that his name? Hinky?
Mark Heike.
Heike.
And Mark runs AC now. He and his wife are now they run AC. Bill's retired, but he actually still does a lot of work on the books for them.
Yeah.
But he gave control of the company.
Now, what does that mean, Paul? That sounds like he's a money launderer or gambler or something.
No, he retired.
Oh, you mean on the comic books?
Yeah, he handed over the reins of running the company to Mark. Just because Bill's getting up there in age, and it's time for him to. But then, they were approaching the 200th issue, and so Bill started helping him out with getting to 200, and he's still. I mean, I think they're at 203 or 204 now, and he's still doing some. He's still helping write stories and helping out stuff. So
it kind of gets in your blood, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he's trying to get back to making his movies more.
Well,
that's kind of he
did. Yeah, I'm probably on a little delay. I'm sorry about that, Paul. If I step on your toes a little bit, it's probably just my slow internet. I apologize for that. But he like worked with Paul Peter anyway, he had the Charlton characters before DC bought them.
Correct. He
Sentinels
had a
of Liberty. Sentinels of Liberty.
Yeah, I think so.
Captain Paragon. That's what, his superhero stuff of the early 80s is what kind of caught my attention, at the advent of the direct market.
Right.
I would see that and go, wow, this is another publisher that I've not heard of,
Yeah. Well, and that's where he was coming from. I mean, he that older stuff is his inspiration.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And he's
especially westerns,
Westerns, yeah.
I've got a piece in there that is from a cover of one of the Western books that he did with why can't I think of names now? The guy that had Trigger.
Roy Rogers.
Thank you. It was a Roy Rogers, Bill Black painted cover. And it was like, I don't think it was the painting, but it was a thing, production thing for the cover. But Roy Rogers. Can't think of names right now. Pat Broderick was what I was trying to say a while ago.
Sure.
Pat Broderick's doing Bronze Star now with Mike Barron, but Pat Broderick did some of those early AC comics, characters.
Bronze Star.
Oh yeah,
I got the black and white and the color. So.
Got the artist edition, yeah. Good stuff, huh?
Yeah, Pat Broderick.
He's, I mean, probably the best stuff of his career, huh?
I certainly, I think so. But, here's the color one.
Now, did you go into like journalism to write?
No, I
just kind of self-taught.
Storyteller. Well, I write technical. I wrote technical stuff.
Okay.
For my career.
Okay.
So I had, background in being able to know how to write and form sentences.
Does that mean you did the Sears catalog? What do you mean technical stuff?
I
got you to smile. You know me, Paul. I don't want to do it unless I can have fun at it. You know, I got to bust you a little bit.
I worked for the government, and I
okay.
I wrote stuff for the government.
Okay, say no more. Okay, he's in witness protection program now, folks. If that tells you anything.
Yeah.
He's in the bunker as we speak.
But I mean, I had a strong background in knowing how to write things.
Okay, all right.
And
all right. Okay,
my father had a degree in radio and television, and
oh wow,
he taught me creative writing. That was when I was a kid. I knew how to like write what you call it, a summary of a book or whatever. I knew how to do that kind of stuff, but I didn't know how to make stuff up and write it down on a piece of paper.
Well, you're old, Paul, but you're not that old, and I'm not that old. But now Bill Black, he is that old to remember turning on the radio instead of the TV and hearing the theater of the mind.
Yeah,
so The Shadow and all those great radio serials, and you can absolutely listen to a lot of that old stuff. There's a lot of YouTube channels devoted to that type of stuff. You just got to find them. You could probably do a search and find out. I listened to some of it. I don't have a lot of time to, but yeah, some of those old radio serials, I can imagine a young Bill Black listening to that, and early TV, watching.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right in the smack of the 50s.
Yeah.
If you didn't watch it originally, you probably never got to see it again. There was no VHS. There was no DVD.
I think Bill was a child of the theater, the cinema. Going down for the Saturday matinee
for the serials where you got the Woody Woodpecker.
Forever, all that. Yes. And so, I think that's where a lot of his background comes. I mean, like I said, my dad taught me how to creatively write when I couldn't do it for elementary school. He's the one who was like, no, you have to just make stuff up. You can't, you have to have an imagination, so that's where I learned how to creatively write. And then I've read so many comic books. I know how to tell a story. I've read enough of them. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can write for the government, you can just about do anything. But yeah, there is a different art to creative writing than, say, a technical manual or some report or something like that. But yeah, when it comes to storytelling, I think there's probably no greater medium than comics, because you got the visuals there too.
You got the visuals too, and I with a few exceptions, I write full script. So it's kind of, I'm trying to tell the artist what I'm seeing in my head when I'm imagining what the page looks like. And then, to have it come back, and sometimes there's minor changes, sometimes there's major changes, but to have it come back and kind of be what you wanted it to be is a really good feeling. So.
Yeah, or exceed, see the artist work and exceed your expectations and you kind of like, well, I kind of had it and visualized it, because I mean, even though you might not draw, the writer's kind of got to visualize it first in his head, and then you give it to an artist, and they see it differently from your words. It's just going to translate. And
my first story, I wrote it full script, and the artist, he got back to me. He's like, we need to make a couple changes here. I can't draw. You're describing several things happening in a single panel, and that's not how it works. I can't. He takes out his gun and shoots him, and he gets hit in the. I mean, That's several panels. That's not one panel. He can't take out his gun and shoot him, and and so he's like, that's gonna make this page an 11-panel page. You don't want an 11-panel page, So but it worked out. That story actually is very rare and very hard to find, and everybody, it's one of those. A lot of people really like that story and want to have that comic book issue. So,
and what was that again? What was the thing?
That's Femforce issue 119.
119. Okay.
119. Right. If you can find 119, you've got a pretty rare book, because most people.
Well, I mean, all of them. I could do a search right now on eBay and guarantee you I can't find most of the Femforce issues. They're just, for some reason, they're just not out there. In any kind of condition, they're just not up there. Another run that has nothing to do with Bill Black, but that I find, especially just finding issues just in any kind of condition, and usually they're lower grade when they do show up. To get a high grade of, all right, wait for it, Super Friends of the 70s.
Huh.
By Ramona Frieden, that passed away.
Just a couple months ago.
Yeah. I've actually got an Aquaman page, Just Imagine Aquaman page by her and signed, which I'm very proud of, because she's one of the rare people. I think she was like 94 or something, maybe older than that. I got 94 on the brain because we lost another great, Don Perlin. Did you ever get to meet Don?
I did not get to meet Don Perlin, but I certainly read enough of his Justice League stuff.
Well, he was in the first comic book I ever read. I mean, I'd already gotten a Marvel magazine that had like artists like Dick Garagano, or even a reprint, or probably the first time the Morbius Origin was reprinted, because it had just been out in an Amazing Spider-Man. They put part of it in that Vampire Tales #5 that I bought, and had like Val Merrick and some other artists that I would later find out about and know, but Don Perlin did the king size annual Werewolf by Night #2. And that was my first comic book. I can remember begging my grandmother for it. She's just kind of raffling through it, and it's got upside down crosses and Satanism and human sacrifice and monsters. And she's like, "Hey, you don't need this." And I was like, "I got it. I'm going to gnaw your cheek, your kneecap off if you don't buy this for me." It's 52 cents, for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned Dick Giordano. One of the stories in my book is drawn by, I think, his last apprentice. Rob Jones apprenticed for Dick Giordano before he passed away. I think he was the last person who was apprenticing for Dick Giordano before he passed away.
Well, now I imagine
Rob's got a story in my book.
I imagined Bill Black's probably met Dick before he died at some point, because he was.
I've met Dick.
Dick was over at Charlton in the 60s. In fact, he brought Jim Aparo when he went over to DC. He brought Jim Aparo from Charlton with him, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, that I don't know, but I mean, Aparo did end up at DC, and so did.
That's
Giordano,
what I'm told.
But
and Steve Ditko, another name there.
Dick was at MegaCon 15, 20 years ago now. He, I saw him then, and but he knew Bill. I mean, they knew each other mainly, and I could be getting this completely wrong, but mainly because of Bill's, the character that is now Night Vale / the Blue Bulleteer in the Femforce comics.
Yeah.
Was Bill originally was calling her Phantom Lady, because it was based on the Fox Comics Phantom Lady, the look of the Night Vale character. And so DC had bought all those Quality Comics characters.
Yeah. Kind of like they did some of the Fawcett
You know,
stuff and
so
everything else.
they were arguing with Bill that they had the rights to Phantom Lady.
Yeah.
And
Matt Baker's old stuff, right?
Well, Matt, that's the thing. Matt Baker's stuff was for Fox Comics, and it was Quality didn't have Phantom Lady at that point. So anyway, there was, DC threatened a lawsuit if he used Phantom Lady, and Bill didn't want to fight DC, and this is my understanding. So he changed the name, but he kept everything else because they had no claims on Fox Comics. They actually had no claim on Quality Comics copyright either because it had expired. But
now
they have the trade. Now they got the trade. Blackhawk hadn't expired, so they do have.
Okay, well, Blackhawk came out of Quality Comics, and they took just on the numbering. They continued the numbering, kind of like GI Combat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blackhawk, because it ran longer. See, Phantom Lady only ran for Quality till like 43, I think, 42 or 43. By the time they would have had to renew the copyright, DC hadn't bought Quality yet, and Busy Arnold, Quality's publisher,
which was probably in the early 70s, wasn't it, when they bought all that?
Late 60s.
Well, late 60s, okay.
Yeah.
And then they started using
mid 60s for Quality.
Then you see some of those characters start popping up in
DC
in like Justice League of America or something like that, doing crossovers.
But that was, they had already lost. Quality already didn't hold the copyright. Busy Arnold didn't have the copyright, so DC couldn't have bought it from it.
Well, I mean, DC was always kind of a strong arm. I mean, look what they did with Captain Marvel, and then Wonder Comics #1. They were like, cease and desist. This is too close to Superman.
Yeah. So, whatever. I mean, the name didn't make a difference. The Blue Lateers actually and Night Vale are kind of my favorite FemForce characters. So and for those that don't know, the Blue Lateer and Night Vale are the same character. They're just at different times of their career, basically. But
you had Bullet Man and Bullet Girl.
Yes, there was. Yeah,
but those are two different characters, right? I mean, that's the Bullet Girl is a different. But the Bulleteer, I mean, doesn't he have a character that has like a, or maybe that's DC? They've got one that's kind of like a
DC's got, is it DC? Somebody does have a character called the Bulleteer.
DC's got the character,
which is completely new character, and but it doesn't look anything like, doesn't have the same powers, it's just using the name Bulleteer. Could he have put up a stink about it because he definitely had the trademark on Blue Bulleteer? I don't know. I mean,
he's his Blue Bulleteer like has guns, and stuff like that. It's more like the pulp era type thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me anyway. I mean, that's when I wrote her, it was a pulp era kind of thing.
I think she had, if I remember right, she had like a skull, maybe belt buckle or
skull
something
on
like
a belt buckle, a skull holding like a pearl thing that went down to her costume, and holding her clasp for her cape.
She's a very striking character, it's
a fantastic character design. It's very much Fox Comics Phantom Lady updated, modernized.
Well, now
made even more buxom and attractive.
How did Bill? I don't want to get away from just your book, but now he did a cover for you on your campaign, and you're closely tied to AC Comics. How did he do like the character designs? Does he like give the artist like does a treatment, and then they go away, do their thing, bring it back, and he improves it, or says this needs to change or something? How much is that? Or does Bill draw?
He started off drawing. He was an inker for Marvel.
Oh, well, that's stupid of me. Of course he draws. I've got some of his artwork in there. Like the shade.
I would think, and I don't know the answer to this, but I would imagine that most of the characters the initial design and look is his.
Okay.
I mean, if there may be artists may make alterations over time, and if he's okay with them, then they end up in the book. But I mean, I know that. Well, for instance, Tara the Jungle Girl is one of Bill's characters, and he's had Tara's been one of his characters since the prosing days. I mean, it's a Paragon character, and that was him. That was he drew that character. So, but it's a jungle girl. It's a girl in a bikini, is what I mean, ultimately, and.
He's got a Giganta type character that's real big. He's got like Sin, psychedelic.
Sin, another one that's Bill's original character, Sin. So so those character designs are all him. Now, how much an individual artist plays with it? I mean, Gorby there were times when he gave Tara a different costume. Kind of more of a. One, she looked a little more like Cammy White, is it Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter? With kind of camouflage leggings and so there have been some alternate versions of.
Well, now Miss Victory's
ultimately, Miss Victory's had 4 different costumes. I mean, Bill's tied in the Golden Age Miss Victory costume.
Captain Victory. I've got a Film Force cover in there.
Captain Paragon.
From one of Captain Paragon. Yeah, they changed his costume when he was kind of having a tryst, or with Miss Victory.
He's had a few. Well, they're married now in the comic book. They have. For like 10 or 15 years. Yeah. But maybe probably. I'd say 10 or 15.
If I remember right, it's
probably been 20. It's probably been 25. I mean, times to fly nowadays. But
well, I mean, 200 issues is quite an accomplishment, but it took him 40 years with Film Force.
Well, it's just they're trying to put out a book a month, and it's basically 3 people.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a freelancer here or there for the last 20 years. It's been a very small group of people who are working on the book, and you just don't have, especially when you're doing all the publishing and printing, and you don't have time as an individual to put in all that kind of. They are tireless workers.
Yeah, they must be, because I mean, to put out like a book like that's 100 pages, like you said, and it might be all black and white, but I'm very impressed by that line of books that he's bringing back some obscure characters from the Golden Age.
Their reprint books were so time intensive that it's just that alone took up almost all of their time. So then trying to put out the new comic books as well, with new art, because Mark is an inker. Penciler. I mean, Mark Heike started out as a penciler on Film Force. So, and then he eventually moved to inking, and Bill went from inking to writing. And I mean, he was always kind of writing, but yeah, you're talking about, this is really a self-pub, it's not even like an independent comic book company. It's
like Guerrilla. It's like Guerrilla Publishing.
Yeah, it's self-publishing and Guerrilla and it's they.
It's one step up from underground, in a way.
Yeah.
Selling it, like Robert Crumb selling it out of the back of his car.
But their Diamond ID number is like 8.
Wow.
There's not a lot of, I mean, they've been distributing through Diamond. There's only 7 people who have a number higher than theirs. I mean, from the start of Diamond. So, it's an amazing accomplishment. Not enough people know about Bill Black and AC Comics.
Yeah.
I think even especially people in the crowdfunding space who are kind of doing something similar.
You're in the witness protection program, so am I. So we're kind of in the know about these things,
So. Yeah. But No, so Bill's, Tara the Jungle Girl was a character I liked.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
the Jungle Girl characters. Irish McCalla and Sheena, I was familiarized with them through Bill and his books. All these other Jungle Girls. So
Jungle Comics ran for a long time, from the 40s up into the 50s.
One of the stories in my book has been reprinted already in the new Jungle Comics that Antarctic is putting out.
Okay.
Issue 25 has one of my stories in there.
Antarctic Press?
From Antarctic Press, issue number 25 of Jungle Comics has Movie Magic, which is one of the stories in my book that Bobby Ragland drew and Ed Coots inked. And,
is that some of that artwork up on the campaign here? From that particular story?
Yeah, there's at least one page up on the campaign. If it's not up on, this story on the right, the one with the waterfall. No, go back.
Yeah,
the right one here with the waterfall in the background. Yeah, that story's been reprinted. The whole story it's an 8 or 10 page story. I can't remember, but I think it's a 10-page story. Maybe it's an 8-page story. That was reprinted in Antarctic Press's Jungle Comics number 25, and that's Bobby Ragland drew it and Ed Coots inked it.
Boy, that's another publisher, Paul, that a lot of people don't know about. Antarctic Press. I mean, they've been putting out even manga type style, being done, and others have been done work for them, and they've got some good quality comics, in a lot of instances, but they're not widely known by a lot of people.
No, I mean, and it's a shame. I mean, I actually went looking for copies of issue 25 of Jungle Comics, when it came out, because I wanted to pick up a copy, and I couldn't find it in any of my local comic book shops.
Yeah. Here you wrote one of the stories, and you can't even find a copy.
Yeah, I mean, they sent me. Eventually, they sent me comp copies, and but yeah, when I initially went out looking because I wanted to get an early look, I couldn't find the book because they didn't order any for the shelves, or they only ordered for their box, or they weren't ordering new comics anymore. I mean, all sorts of issues. So.
Yeah. Unless you've got it marked down, and then even that's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
distribution's always been a problem, Paul. That's kind of why I like the crowdfunding thing. You can reach out directly to the buyer, and do you have a digital tier on this?
I have a digital tier. I think it's only on the Indiegogo version.
Okay.
But there is a digital tier.
What can you bring that up for me, Paul? The one that's on Indiegogo. We've been looking at the one that's over on Fund My Comic.
Hang on, let me.
Okay. So, do you ever get hit up by AC Comics anymore, Paul? Is there any more? Are you going to write for AC Comics anymore?
I don't think I'll write for them anymore, but I'll. I don't want to log in. I don't want to create an account. I just want to look at the page.
I don't want to create an account.
Well, I'm trying to log in from a different browser.
Yeah, I get it, man. The security issues are. It's like I just want it to work. That's my philosophy. I just want it to work, but all these difficulties.
I'll just go to StreamYard. Works better on Google Chrome for me.
Okay.
And
who did your logo design? On the different things, like your main logo, or like say this Monsters is very nice.
Ed Coots.
Okay.
Ed and I have been collaborating for a pretty decent amount of time now. I mean, probably 20 years.
Okay.
And he's we've become friends, and
now he does he is this a painting there on the left? Because that's an
yeah, that's an oil painting he did. Yeah,
an oil painting. Okay.
Yeah, that one's. I think it's oil and some acrylic, and I mean,
Okay.
It's mixed media, but it's a lot of it's oil. Let me see. Okay, so I've got the Indiegogo page up. I'm looking to see if I got the digital tier here.
Yeah, if you can share screen, we'll bring it on up here. You can control it.
Book, original inked book and pencil. Both. No, it's not there. Did I only do it
what's your total up on that, Paul? Did you take a look before you?
How
you doing over there on Indiegogo?
1,500.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 1,500. I had 1,200 during the campaign. I've gotten another almost 3 cents. Mm-hmm. So, so, and like I said, I'm going to go to comic book conventions, and I'm selling the book at conventions. I'll be in the Three Rivers Comic Con in Pittsburgh, June 1st and 2nd. So,
but when you get that product in hand, that's when things can really start happening for you, because you can get it to people immediately, and you actually got something to sell. Till then, it's like, you really don't have. I mean, you're trying to sell it through crowdfunding, but you really don't have anything tangible, for people yet.
Yeah. Let me see.
There's a difference.
Yeah, actually, on Fund My Comic, one of the tiers is a digital download.
Is it? Okay. All right. I could have.
Yeah, on Fund My Comic, digital download. It's right above the sketch tiers.
Okay. Digital download right here. Yeah. PDF file there.
Yeah.
And that's going to be 90. What was it?
92 pages.
92 pages. Okay. You got some pinups in here, probably, right?
Yeah. If you want, to share my screen, I can scroll through it, and you can. I don't know how that works necessarily, but
okay. Well, down below it'll say present, and you push that.
Hang on, let me get to the right. Okay, present.
Yeah, and then it brings up a menu that says
share, and I can share screen. Is that the idea?
Yep. Share that screen, and then when it pops up, I click on it, and you'll have control of it.
Share screen. Okay, let me go to window.
Somebody had to teach me all that too.
And share that.
Now over through Gmail, Paul. Over on Gmail, you were in a group, when it was like send you a, and you should have control of that right there that you brought up.
Okay, so you're seeing the cover, the Ed Coots cover, the painted cover right now.
Yeah.
So that's Ed Coots' painted cover. Here's Bill Black's painted cover.
Now wait a minute. You said painted cover.
Well, I'm sorry. This is Bill Black's cover, not painted.
Okay. Okay.
And then
it's phenomenal, though. It's really good.
Yeah. No, it's nice. It's a homage to an old Jumbo Comics cover of Sheena.
Well, I have a production piece. I think I told you this. It was John Buscema, inked by Bill Black, and in the write-up it said newcomer to Marvel, Bill Black. So how long was he with Marvel? Do you know?
He was not a real long time, a few years, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Roy Thomas brought him in, or he worked for Roy Thomas.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
primarily as an inker, I guess.
As an inker, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he inked. I think he inked Steranko at one point, or at least one piece of Steranko.
Because they had
he's like one of the few people who's inked Steranko.
So. Yeah, because Steranko worked for him early on in the.
Well, I wouldn't say worked for. Probably contributed something.
Okay, contributed a few things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so then this is the inside front cover.
That's nice. Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah,
Don't just
that's
stream by that. That's cool.
sorry. That's
Yeah.
Ed Coots. That's actually one of the earlier kind of
Okay.
turnarounds he did of my Jungle Girl character.
Okay.
So then this is the page for signatures at conventions and shows. You know,
Oh
I can
yeah, that's
sign this
cool.
page.
Yeah.
Then table of contents, and again, that's Ed. Ed painted that. He's an ass man, so he liked that view.
Sex sales, right?
Yeah. And then this was actually this cover was penciled by Rudy Nebres, and
oh wow.
then Ed painted over the pencils or whatever.
Okay.
So
some would call that a crime, but okay.
Well, it's Rudy did it. Rudy drew the first story that's in here. He did the pencils.
Wow, you don't get to see much of his stuff out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, this story's probably
is Rudy even alive? I think he's
still alive. He's still alive, but he is definitely up there in age.
I think he had a birthday a couple months ago, actually.
Yeah, he did this maybe for me probably 15 years ago.
Yeah,
and I published it in black and white in a book through Kablam. But for this book, we got it colored.
Oh, we had the publisher of Kablam on this week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
On I don't know if you caught that, but he was on with Roland Mann from Silverline Comics.
Yeah, Wednesday. No, I used Kablam for 3 anthology books in
early good service
2000s.
Good service.
Yeah, I really liked them.
Yeah.
So Rudy penciled this one. This is kind of an introduction to the character, and
I think Rudy did some stuff for Charlton too, didn't he?
I don't know. I think of Rudy as a Marvel artist, but he might have.
Yeah. Did Bill Black work for anyone else besides Marvel himself as an agent?
Yes. But I'm not. I can't tell you what and when.
Okay. I wondered if he had ever worked for DC.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Yeah. And he could have worked for DC later on, even after he started AC.
Right.
As ghosting for somebody else. I mean, that's possible too.
Yeah.
You never know with artists what they may or may not have worked on.
Frank Frazetta did back in the day in the 50s. He did Al Cap. He ghosted.
Yeah.
You know.
So this is the Rudy story.
Yeah, good solid stuff.
Then this was actually a pinup that Rudy drew for me, and this guy in Indonesia colored it. So.
Well, Paul, why the Jungle Adventure bent? I can understand that with Bill because he grew up with that. But what was your love for it? Because of Bill's reprints of Jungle Girl stories, and because of Tara the Jungle Girl and the Femme Force, and and I mean, I grew up on Tarzan, both the Johnny Weissmuller movies on Saturday mornings, and then the Ron Ely TV series. And so I already was, I read all the Tarzan books when I was a little boy, and so I was that pulp adventure is really what I'm driven by, and so that's I mean, so I have a Jungle Girl character, I have a superhero character, I have a kind of a pulp noir detective character, I got a sci-fi character, I have a bunch of different characters, and I had more stories built up with my Jungle Girl character, so she's kind of the first one that I put a book out with. Okay. There's only been a handful. I think Andy Smith, when he started crowdfunding, he did some Jungle Fair stuff. But other than that, I can't think of anybody doing the jungle stories anymore. You know?
Well, this is that cover, but it's colored by a different individual. So because not everybody's getting the Bill Black cover, so I wanted to be able to have the cover inside the book as a pinup. So,
right.
So, and then this is that movie magic story Bobby Ragland drew.
Oh wow! Yeah,
and Ed
look at that.
And
down, Tundra, down.
Yeah. And so
it's like
this one, she's a location scout for this movie production, and you know the Instagram girl who's funding the movie to be the Jungle Girl, you know, wants to do all her stunts, but then she's too scared to do them, so they end up having to pay my character to do all the stunts and pretending she's like the other girl. So
nowadays they won't allow the stars to do their own stunts, do they?
Yeah, well,
in reality, you know, back in the day, you know, like Steve McQueen or Burt Lancaster, especially because he used to be a circus performer.
Burt Lancaster,
like in The Professionals, he did the rock climbing and stuff all himself.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great movie, by the way, The Professionals.
It is, yeah. Look at that piece.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Bobby Ragland's pinup for me for the book.
I mean, great. I mean, just the shoes and the socks and all that.
So this is mine. I actually did this. I used the 3D modeling program. So
yeah, okay, yeah, it's got a definitely different look to it, you know.
Yeah, and then so this is the story Rob Jones did.
That's nice. Yeah,
and this one's 16 pages long, but it's got some, you know.
Strategically placed bubble.
Strategic, absolutely. Which is a PG-13 book. This is not an R-rated book. So
yeah. So what age group would you say this is written for, Paul?
It's written for old guys like me, but
oh gosh, yeah, okay.
You know, but
one step down for pornography. Then okay,
yeah, gotcha. it could be read by it could be read by a teenager.
Okay, woo, you had me worried there for a minute.
Yeah, it could be read by a teenager without any issue. I mean, there's nothing on here that wouldn't have been on prime time in the 70s.
I didn't realize she was an amputee. How did she lose her leg? Oh, I see it back there. Anyway.
Drop down into this tank and there's
now I actually like this artwork here. Oh, look at that coming up from behind.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so she gets out of her situation. This is the Brad Gorby pinup.
Oh, that's great, man. Look at that.
So here's a letter from the publisher from me, and then here's Ed's monster story.
Yeah, great logo, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. He's the one. He'll throw that stuff in on the page. And
now is that a panther? No, that's like a werewolf.
It's a werewolf. Yeah, it's a werewolf.
Wow. Okay, so we got your obligatory werewolf story in there.
Yeah, and then she gets out of the water. And
crap, we got the creature from the Black Lagoon. Oh my God!
Yeah, you see why I wanted to make sure people had this in hand before October of 23, because I wanted it to,
Yeah, this is good stuff. I like this. Yeah, there's your lizard or amphibian representation, Lorenzo. Oh, Frankenstein type monster. Cool. Wow, she's encountering all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and then
Dracula. Oh my gosh, you've thrown it all in. Oh wow, lift that top.
Yeah.
Forget about the neck area. Let me see those tatas.
So then.
Oh, got him with the mop handle. Oh my God, we got alien probing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I didn't know all this was in your book. This is awesome. Yeah. Wow, look at that pinup. Who did that? Yeah, that's
Mike Lilly.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I don't guess I know his work. He's
done stuff for a lot of different people, but a lot of the independent publishers. This piece was from 2011, and I bought the publishing rights.
Well, now, do you notice with a character like this that breast size kind of varies from artist to artist? She looks
it does, but I mean, part of it is I want her to look very busty. And so some artists
you got very busty on that one.
Some artists tone it down more than other artists.
Well, this one
some artists rein me in more than other artists.
Yeah, she's got to have back problems one of these days. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and this is Ed's pinup for the inside of the book. He painted that.
All right. And so if you like some tatas, some oh my God, we got sex scenes.
Then this is the last. This is the last story.
All right.
And this is Ed Coots. He did all of this one. All right. In the art.
I didn't know all this was in here. Wow.
Yeah. So
you need to put some of this stuff up on the Fund My Comment. Oh my gosh. Strategically.
All strategic. Very strategic.
Strategically, very tastefully done. Yeah, there we go. She split that melon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know, you should do a Skull Island type thing with her, you know, where she goes to a Skull Island with prehistoric, you know, you should do something like that. Sort of the old Kong story.
I could. I definitely could.
Yeah. That'd be a lot of fun, you know. Oh, she gets washed over? Wow. Mm-hmm. Oh, Rottweilers. Oh, my God. Or Dobermans.
Yeah, Dobermans.
Uh-huh. Oh, Most Dangerous Game. You ever seen that movie?
That's what this is from.
Okay. All right.
This is a take on that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This part of this story is influenced by Most Dangerous Game. Yeah.
Most Dangerous Game being filmed at the same time as King Kong and used the same sets, a lot of the same sets.
Well, and one of the same actresses.
Yeah. Oh, Faye Ray. Absolutely.
Faye Ray.
Yeah, she's in both movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
with young McRae.
Joel McRae.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but forgotten today, he's in one of the greatest westerns, I think, by Sam Peckinpah, Ride the High Country.
Ride the High Country. Ride the High Country. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. He and Randolph Scott.
Randolph Scott, yeah, in the Twilight. Hey, Dark, love the werewolf, he says.
Yeah. So
sexy.
Issue 90 of the Femforce. Issue 90 of the Femforce. Brad Gorby did a Terror of the Jungle Girl story that was a take on the Most Dangerous Game, and that's what led me to.
That's rated R.
Go watch the Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah,
and then so I threw in my take on the Most Dangerous Game.
He gets thrown to the dogs at the end, doesn't he? After he gets shot by an arrow, I believe.
I believe so. Yes. Now that's not how mine goes at the end, but
okay, all right. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good story that a lot of people don't know about. Yeah. Randolph Scott was in that movie very early on. It was like Shangri-La or something.
See that I don't know. I only know Randolph Scott from the westerns.
Yeah,
I've seen
mostly
a lot of
in
his,
the westerns.
A lot of his westerns. The Tall T
I think Red River was one that he did.
Yeah, Tall T is the one I think of. And
he was actually a pretty handsome-looking guy, actually.
Yeah. No, I enjoy his westerns. So, but yeah, this is throughout this story. She gradually loses clothes. More and more, she's losing clothes.
Well, now you. I mean, you pretty much put the whole comic book on the campaign, didn't you?
On your stream, yeah.
Oh, on my stream?
No, this is my PDF of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
This is my PDF of it.
So here you go, folks.
So your viewers are getting a preview of the whole book.
Oh, I'm getting a preview, all right.
Yeah. And then the back cover inside back cover is where Ed will do a sketch for you if you want it.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then that's the back cover. I did that one.
Baboom. Yeah.
So
wow, look at that glaze on her skin. Wait, go back. Look at that. Look at that wetness.
Yep.
Yeah. Sweat, man. Yeah.
Tropical humidity.
Tropical sweat, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this was another one I did that's these are some of the These are some of my works at the end that are just.
TSM,
I threw those in. I threw those in as extras. Those are my initial.
Paul, I know you're in the witness protection program, but what's the S for?
Sydney.
Sydney. Okay, like Australia. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul Sydney
with an I, not a Y, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this is another pinup I did of her, so that's my character.
Oh, I like the fern work and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all done in the program.
See, I'm not one of those that look at the beautiful women. I gotta. That's great.
Looking at the other stuff.
So that's me.
That's my. That's the book. So I mean, anybody who liked what they saw in there, go pick it up.
Either on Indiegogo or now, if you could drop that link in the private chat, I'll drop it in the chat. How about that?
Okay, hang on. Let me.
And Paul, I don't know. You could drop it in the chat, and I could see if you got a wrench. I don't know if you got a wrench or not.
Let me.
Hey, Shadowhawk.
Let me start with
time for a little work and lurk. Yeah.
That's to fund my comic link. Then this is.
Oh, you already sent me something on private chat. All right.
Hang on, and then this is going to be the Indiegogo link.
Okay.
And let me see if I can.
Are you going to drop it in the chat yourself?
If
you do, I can check and see if you've got a wrench, or at least say hi to the chat. Make a comment in the chat if you can. You get a wrench, and you get a wrench. Everybody gets a wrench. We had Dark on Dark Like in 81. We had him on the weekend, and he showed us some of his collection. He's got a great toy collection. He's over there in Scotland, as a matter of fact.
Hang on, let me find.
It's good to see you in here, Dark.
Where are we here?
Yeah, it's been a long time since we had you on, Paul. I'm tickled pink to have you on again. I've been wanting. You're one of the creators I've been wanting to pick at.
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting into the chat on Chrome, so it might be easier if you just do it.
I'll do that. Yeah. But now, don't be a stranger. Leave a comment in the chat next time you watch, and let me see if you got a wrench.
Yeah, I'm used to. Like I usually
come in and
I'm usually on Firefox, and so.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think everything's set up so that Firefox, I'm probably. Hang on, let me see here.
Okay. Is that?
I don't want to.
Oh, that's the Fund My Comic one. Okay. All right. Well, now here's the Indiegogo link as well. Thank you, Omer, for that. There's the Indiegogo link. So you can either go to Fund My Comic or the Indiegogo if you want to back Paul's book. What's in the works? Are you just still showing this book and going around?
Well, I'm still showing this book. I have my superhero and character is in the works. I've got
cool.
Bobby Ragland is working up, is working on that.
In your estimation, Paul, is it superheroes that are king, or are we due to the Marvel comics and things like that? Are they kind of waning now in popularity? What do you think's popular and going to be popular? Thank you, Oliver.
I don't know that superheroes are I mean, they're certainly waning in terms of the mainstream comic book industry. Superheroes are waning. I mean,
I don't want to hear that. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I'm saying the mainstream comic book industry, Marvel and DC are waning.
Oh yeah.
But I was able to put something in the chat. It's under Vavavoom.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't see a wrench in front of it, so.
Oh, okay. I'm not even seeing it come up on chat yet, but it might be delayed.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Let me go back to Chrome so I can actually see. But yeah, I'm not looking at the chat. So I haven't been looking at everybody's comments. So
okay,
this is my first chance to kind of
here it is up on Indiegogo. $1,105, 26 backers. Altogether, if you combine it, I guess it's over 1,500, right?
No,
something like that. No.
Why'd that come up that way?
Why is that wrong?
Yeah, it's wrong.
Because it said $1,105.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's more than that.
Okay, it's more than that. Okay.
I'm like, why did you say that? See, my screens when I go to Indiegogo, it shows 1,500. Oh, it's showing it Canadian. Why the hell is it showing it Canadian?
Oh wow. Okay, I don't know.
I have no idea. Some setting in my computer is sending me is thinking I'm from Canada.
Now, Shadowhawk thought that this.
I don't have my VPN on, so I don't have any clue why it's telling me why it's got everything in Canadian dollars.
Now, Shadowhawk thought that all of it looked good, but this Ed Coots cover, he was like, she looks a little masculine there. I've got to agree. She looks a little masculine on that.
Well, inside she certainly doesn't.
Yeah.
Part of the issue may be that I told him I wanted something that looked a little like those Doc Savage Man of Bronze covers that James Bama did.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and so
I can see it. Yeah,
maybe that has something to do with. But she's a short, stocky character with a big chest. So.
Well, now, how did you get Rudy on your project, Rudy Nebreeze, to do a story?
Ed Coots and Rudy are friendly, and at a comic book convention back.
Thank you, sir.
Early 2000s. Ed introduced me to Rudy, and we got to talking, and
okay.
I was thinking of doing this anthology book, and I asked him, what it would cost to get him to pencil a story, and it was not cheap, but it was kind of worth it because it was Rudy Nebreeze. I mean, it was worth it. It was worth it to me. So. So I
when you think
became friendly with him, and I paid him what he asked me to pay him. So that's how I got him to do it.
When you think of Rudy's stuff, what comes to your mind when from the past?
Savage Sword of Conan.
Yeah.
Over Buscema or over whoever.
Now, were you a Conan fan yourself?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a lot of Conan and Red Sonja. In fact, Marvel, for a long time, the only book I bought from Marvel was Red Sonja and Conan.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably a big Frank Springer fan, maybe, or did who did Red Sonja during that time?
It was I should know. I've actually got an original from him.
Is it of Red Sonja?
Yeah, original Red Sonja.
Awesome.
He did as a commission for me.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Why am I blanking on his name? He is the definitive Red Sonja artist.
I always think of. Does anybody
not Frank
know in
Springer.
The chat? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know Springer did like the Invaders. I know he did some Ghost Rider.
Frank Thorne.
Yes, Frank Thorne. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why. Yes, it was Frank Thorne, and so those Frank Thorne Red Sonjas first in Marvel feature, and then when she had her own book,
he did a sexy character called Ribbit.
I don't remember Ribbit.
She was green.
He did a Red Sonja clone.
Yeah,
for him
that
on
was
his
in the
own
80s.
in the 80s. Yeah. But he was definitely, and then Conan, John Buscema, and whoever. But I also like Savage Sword of Conan because I liked the black and white, those inks, the Filipino artists like Rudy Nebris and Alcala and Dezuniga. They were really had like these lush inks that really looked cool.
Yeah.
So
back in the day,
I was
in the 80s,
big on that.
In another sort of kind of medieval time, not really in the time of like Conan or anything like that, but Arak's Son of Thunder. Did you ever check that out?
I didn't, but I know the book. I know what you're talking about, but that's not one I collected.
I think Dezanga worked on that actually.
He might have.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I guess, and that's
a pretty good read.
You asked me why Jungle Girls, and I mean, besides Jungle Girls, you know, the sword and sandals stuff was very popular when I was younger, and you know, I saw a lot of the movies, you know, Beastmaster and Deathstalker, and you know,
Beastmaster.
And so those are, you know, they're not quite Jungle Girls, but it's a similar, you know,
you remember Krull?
Krull, yeah.
That had the flying, you know, prong frisbee thing.
Yeah. No, I mean it's
sort of sci-fi but fantasy adventure in the movie, you know.
Yeah. So those were big, and so I mean that's part of it too, probably why I like Jungle Girls. But But yeah, I mean, you know, you saw it's my books are a lot of TNA, but they're PG-13.
Yeah.
And you know, my superheroine, same thing. She's gonna be you know, I mean, hang on. Let me see if I can pull up something.
Paul's portfolio here.
Well, this is one of them.
But one of them, right?
Kind of.
Yeah, I imagine you got a stack of these things.
I'm looking to see if I can find.
What's a creator, Paul, that you never got to meet but you would have liked to have met? Jack Kirby?
Well, it would have been cool, but I was never huge on Kirby, other than Black Panther.
Yeah.
I didn't really.
Oh yeah, the jungle action and stuff like that. Did you collect that as a?
I didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
Kirby was not really Kirby, and I've met a lot of people that I would have wanted to meet. I'm trying to think. Matt Baker, probably.
That
would have been cool.
Oh, Matt Baker. Yeah.
That's a creator I wish I could have met.
Yeah.
So that's my superheroine character.
Okay, I can see her airbags have been deployed.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. The card design. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, that's my
And what is her name? What is her name?
Actually, when I put my anthology out back in the early 2000s, she's the ace.
The ace. Okay.
So, you know, now there's a lot of aces running around.
Yeah,
so
there was even Ace Comics. I mean, back in the 40s and the 80s, you know?
Yeah. So I will not be able to name my superheroine book The Ace.
You won't? Okay.
Because well, like Edwin Acevedo's got The Ace, you know?
Okay.
I mean, other people are doing crowdfunding with The Ace. Okay. So I don't want to cause confusion, even though I had it first.
Here's a suggestion for a title that you might work in. Maybe not a main. Aces High. I don't know. Think about it.
That's a possibility. Here's one that Ed did of the Jungle Girl character.
Okay.
Just so you can.
Oh yeah.
So
that's a full painting there, sort of acrylic or something. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So
you need to get a shoe deal with her. You know, get a shoe sponsorship.
Yeah. Trying to think. flip through here, see if there's anything else you might be interested in.
A few years ago, I actually saw like Planet Comics, all the covers to Planet Comics, and then there was also Jungle Comics at Barnes and Noble, and I bought both those books around the same time. So, you know, I've got a lot of the Jungle stuff, and in fact, give me just a second while you look at that portfolio, Paul, and let me go in here. I've got a treat for you. I'll be right back. Just right back.
For everybody watching, I don't know if y'all can see. Let's see. This is Bobby Ragland, and that's the Golden Age Miss Victory and kind of a Golden Age version of She-Cat. So those are FemForce characters. But so there's a few different things in this portfolio, but yeah, for anybody who's interested in good girl art, not just Tantalizing Adventures or anything I do in the future, but definitely pick up FemForce if you can come across it. So,
oh yeah, they're hard to find. Here's one of the actors. I couldn't tell you the actor. Maybe you know him, that played Tarzan from one of the Dales. Big 52 pager by Dale. But now you'll like this one, fully painted cover.
Doesn't look like Weissmuller. Maybe Barker? I don't know.
Who's that elephant?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Look at that.
I mean,
production artwork from that cover, negatives.
Wow. Cool stuff.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, wow.
You know, people
that is cool.
It's like, you know, transparencies.
Sure.
Film.
Yeah, yeah.
And almost this is 50s. Oh, they didn't have plastic. Yes, they did. They had, you know.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. You know, it's like acetates. Oh, they didn't have that stuff back then. Yes, look at this. This is I forget the year that Dale came out with that, but it's definitely like 50s. More of a photographic type film, you know. But yeah, that's to this 10 cents or still 10 cents.
Wow.
That's to this cover.
Yeah,
negatives.
you could tell. Yeah.
And that stuff was
awesome.
Thrown away. You know, you can see I don't know what this was all about. If this was a subscription block in or what that was about, because it's not on the cover. This is probably blocked out for the logo, you know. That I could understand. This part I don't know, but to see just one of these is rare. To see two is, you know, amazing, because this stuff was destroyed, you know, and thrown away.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is 1950 1955 issue of Dale Tarzan here. Look at this old Kraft Fudgies. Look at that.
Wow.
Kraft Fudgies ad on the back. I have a 1942.
That's almost almost like caramels or something.
Like caramel, yeah. They had like the chocolate, and then they had the caramel flavor. You can get both. Yeah. I think I've had some of those real sugary type things, you know, confections. Something akin to that, if not the Fudgies themselves when I was younger. But Tootsie Roll goes way back. You know, I've got a 1942 Tootsie Roll ad on the back of my a patriotic ad with Uncle Sam during the war.
So what would be the difference between Fudgies and Tootsie Rolls / caramels? Because caramels are wrapped in plastic. They're square. They're kind of they look like the Fudgies.
Yeah.
And then Tootsie Rolls, you said Fudgies came in chocolate or caramel, or Tootsie Rolls are basically the same stuff, but they're just not in a rectangle. Or,
I think it's probably the Fudgies are softer. It's almost like the little caramels you get from Brock candy.
Yeah.
You go in there and get a scoopful and put it in a bag and weigh it.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the way they sold Cracker Jack before it was packaged back in the 1870s.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You just scoop it, go into your store, and they would scoop it and put it in a bag.
Make sure you get enough peanuts that way. You could get enough peanuts that way. You didn't get
peanuts
on peanuts.
Yep. Good. Yeah, and
like all craft food. Like all craft food. Good.
42 in every bag.
Marshmallows too.
Creamy and soft, wonderful to eat. In chocolate or vanilla. So it's chocolate or vanilla.
Chocolate was in gold foil and vanilla was in silver foil.
In silver, right. So you can know what you're getting. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's cool.
1955,
wow.
And I had the production artwork before I got the book, that's often, I'll get the production artwork to these things.
Then you got to go try to find the book.
And then I have to try and find a book, right? Like with the AC Comics, I can't find the stuff, I've got the original artwork. Some of it's unpublished. Like I've got I think I showed it to you last time I was on here, some of that stuff that I've got a Bill Black cover to the Shade #1 that he did.
Yeah.
Which is basically just a close up of his face, and he's like screaming like that, into the cover. That for some reason, a wonderful cover by Bill Black, but he didn't go with that. He went with another artist on that. But we coming up on the 2-hour mark here, Paul. Can you stay with me for? Can you come up, stay with me for about another 8 minutes and make this
Absolutely.
a 2-hour thing?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate all your time. So you say you got a superhero thing in the works. I noticed one creator, he did a crowdfunder. I won't mention him, but he did some very interesting, even hardback editions and things like that. But the one thing that was really successful for him on the crowdfunder was his superhero book that he did. So I think a lot of them have a following.
I think a lot of the fans who used to follow Marvel and DC, who just don't like what Marvel and DC are putting out anymore, they're still superhero fans. Yeah. And so when crowdfunders are putting out superhero books, those people have moved to crowdfunding for their books. So they're like, well, here's my fix of superheroes. Now I can go back a superhero book that might actually have something I want to read inside.
Well, Paul, what in your estimation, what is the woke crowd like Black Lives Matters and stuff? I shared this that when DC was relaunching the Milestone, the black characters like Static Shock and Icon and like that, when they were relaunching that, they came out with, and they don't respect that was one thing that kind of put me off on comics for a lot of the product, because they're out to get every penny out of you they can bleed out of you, because they can't just launch 1 or 2 titles. And I get it. Okay, we're relaunching Milestone. It's a big thing. We want it to be big, but 5 titles. So $12.50 before shipping, before tax rather. And I got all 5 out, and I opened up the other one, just random, just picked one up and opened it up. Black Lives Matter protesters. And so I closed it up and put all 5 back. It's like, if I want to read them, and do I want to read that in 20 years? I don't want to read that now. I can go to, I I don't want to read about protesters, whether they're pro or con, and maybe I just don't want to. I'm being.
I don't. I think when you start putting today's politics into the book, it does make it unreadable years down the line.
Yeah.
2, yes, you're going to tick off a portion of the audience that may not agree with your politics. I mean, when you're on solid footing and everybody agrees with your politics, and you want to, I mean, like the 40s books that were all, people punching Hitler and what have you.
Right.
It's wartime. Of course, nobody's going to be put off by that.
Do you look at that as popular propaganda, or do you look at it as
it is popular propaganda? I mean, back at the time, that was you were supporting the United States, and you were supporting, so but when they have in the past, when they put politics into a book, they would show the nuances and the gray, and you'd have characters that would make good points on both sides.
What about Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams and Green Lantern?
They'd reach some kind of agreement, or at least the reader would get 2 perspectives.
Right.
And maybe the perspective opens somebody's eyes, maybe it doesn't. I mean,
a point or in counterpoint.
Yeah. And so
on both sides of the argument.
I think you basically drive away an audience when you scream at them.
Right.
And that's, I think, more of the issue with incorporating, your opinion about what's going on today may not be the opinion of a lot of people about what's going on
and
today.
Your attitude should be to sell to everyone, shouldn't it?
I think if you're trying to make money, that should be your attitude.
Yeah.
So
what is this?
If you're a company, I don't understand backing that. I mean, it's, Michael Jordan, they asked him why he didn't, back when he was playing and he was making tons of money and, from endorsements, and they're like, why don't you speak out on political issues? Why don't you support this issue that the Democrats want to support? Or why don't you support this issue that liberals say you should support? And he's like, because Republicans buy shoes too.
Yeah.
I mean, so he was looking at the bottom line, and, if you want to put your political perspective out there, be prepared to not make as much money.
Yeah.
So if you're a company, I don't know why you would let the people writing for you, editing for you, drawing stuff for you, cost you money.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that at all. But
so what kind of damage has this woke, lately? I mean, it's done incalculable damage to Marvel and DC, hasn't it?
I think so. I just don't, although it's been coming for a long time. I used to buy a bunch of DC books every month. I mean, I went to the comic book shop every day. I picked up, every 3 or 4 books, maybe 5 books every week, for years. And it got to a point where I'd open the book and I'd start to read through it, and I was done in like 5 minutes. Or nothing in there really caught my attention or made me think, oh, this is a great story. I can't wait till the next one comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And after a couple of years of not really being impressed with, not having to get that next book, I just canceled my pull list.
Yeah.
I paid for what was left in my box and what was, had already been ordered, and stopped getting comics from Marvel and DC. The only books I, was actually looking forward to were AC books. were AC Comics books. So I would still try to get those. But that was before I really became aware of the politics of it. It's just the books got boring.
Yeah.
There was a lot more, like, one, they got a little more preachy, yes, but they also just got dull.
Yeah.
Well, and the artwork, you've probably seen... Even when the artwork was pretty, the story was dull.
Right. Yeah. It didn't hit all those beats for you. I've got it. Back in the day, you had like some politics, of course, but I don't think it was as preachy, even though it might have had a big liberal slant to it, like the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams stuff in the Green Lantern. But now, where do you see comics going from here, Paul? What's the future of comics in the next 5 years, let's say?
I mean, I think that I think Marvel and DC are going to pull back to just a few titles. They might license some stuff out in terms of publishing books with that character.
Some of their IPs.
Some of their IPs they might license out for books. They're never going to license it out totally because they're going to want to get any of the revenue from merchandise or movies or what have you.
Yeah.
But some of the big companies that own them now, it was different when DC Comics was part of a small printing publisher, and now they're part of Discovery, Warner Brothers, and Marvel's Disney.
Right.
I mean, and so Disney's having financial issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much longer can Disney keep a division that's barely making any money for them, or maybe losing money for them, around? I mean, they're going to want to keep it for the licensing of the characters and for the movies. Are they going to want to print comic books? And that's why I'm saying I think they'll probably tighten up their line and put out less books.
Yeah.
But in doing that kind of stuff, they're putting out 20 variant covers of each book. I mean, they're making it impossible for retailers. So I think they're slowly putting retailers out of business.
Yeah.
Or the retailers are going to manga.
Well, I mean, and during the pandemic, a lot of them were hit hard. They just closed up their doors.
Yeah. So
they had to in certain states.
So I think it's definitely contracting.
Uh-huh.
How will crowdfunding and people who are self-publishing and people who are starting up their own books and their own characters, and
hey, Billy,
if one of them comes, if somebody in crowdfunding really hits and has a great character that ends up getting licensed for a movie or what have you, that could lead to a resurgence of almost like a new direct market. I mean, that is really direct market. You're going to have people start up and fall by the wayside and what have you, but you may have some of these people who are crowdfunding now who develop into small press publishers, who are really small press publishers, who are hiring other people to draw, and they have a couple different titles. And if somebody hits big like that, then that's going to encourage other people to try the same thing. So
is the Image mainstream in your mind at this point?
Image is mainstream, no question.
Yeah.
Because they have an overarching company structure. They got a human resources department. They got somebody cutting checks to talent and for royalties and all that kind of stuff. They have dedicated people who are in jobs that have nothing to do with producing the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, they're mainstream.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't look at any of the Image imprints as being a self-publisher.
A lot of it's not healthy. I mean, they put out good product like Dark Horse and IDW. IDW was like 70 million in debt, or nearly 70 million, probably that now. I don't even know where it's at, but they put out good product and had good IPs like Ninja Turtles, but and it was all slick looking stuff, and still is. I'm really surprised they're still around because they've been in such debt. But they pursued that, that Netflix deal or that next movie deal. They were kind of doing the IP thing and didn't concentrate on the comic line as much as I think they should have.
I don't know that they're necessarily in it to make money off the comic book themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
well, look at Marvel has swooped in and bought Aliens and Predator and everything that was kind of Dark Horse.
Yeah, but they'll run those into the. I mean, nobody's going to buy them from Marvel, just like they,
Yeah.
I mean, it just. I don't know. I mean, you get to a certain point and you've basically lost your audience. I see most of the comic book buyers with money are looking at the crowdfunding books, not at the floppies coming out every week at the store.
And when did that come about? What kind of caught the attention? I mean, we know about it, but I still think a lot of collectors don't know about it, though, Paul.
Well, I think that the product that they were buying at the store, the collectors started thinking, well, what's my collection going to be worth someday?
Yeah.
And when you've got 20 variant covers and you're making all, you've printed all these books and they're sitting in a retailer's store, they're not, even if you buy one, it's not going to be worth very much because nobody needs to buy your copy to get a copy of it.
When I go to the local comic book shop, Paul, what I see are facsimile issues outselling the stuff. I see dead artists that have recently passed away, like John Romita or George Perez, stuff that have never been on covers, never meant to be on covers, put on covers to help sell books. And I see like full covers, gimmick covers. So they're doing like everything gimmicky nowadays, it seems like.
Yeah, well, I mean, because the audience said, well, these new comics aren't ever going to be worth anything. Yeah. Let me either buy old comic books that have some known value in the comic, in the buyer's guide, or let me buy works by legendary artists so I can see their stuff. Because you have
they ain't cheap either, you
Yeah,
I mean that might be Batman #5. It may not even be. I don't know. But it's like it's $9.
Yeah, people like you and I who are like, oh, Don Perlin, oh, Don Heck, oh, Jack Kirby, oh, whatever, and we're more interested in seeing their old stuff than anybody else's new stuff.
Exactly.
So that's and you've got 80 years, roughly 80, 90 years worth, 80, 90 years worth of old stuff.
Yeah, and they should be killing it by now, Paul.
Go back and look at, so
yeah, they should be killing it by now. But it's almost like Marvel, like. When the Marvel movies were really popular, you couldn't go to the comic shop and match that up with the movies. Not even close. They threw that away. They threw that away. And I think
when they could have had people coming in to buy the new Thor comic book because they loved Chris Hemsworth in the movie.
Yeah.
They didn't get a Thor wasn't even a guy in the comic book.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and then
when
you want Tony Stark Iron Man, you didn't get Tony Stark. You got Ironheart. Yeah.
And so this went for, it could be a woman who loved the Avengers movies
mm-hmm.
and walked in because she really liked Chris Hemsworth.
And
She
she's going
really
to have to
liked
go
Tony
back and
Stark. You know,
she's going to have to go back to the back issues to get anything Tony Stark.
You know, so this idea of, well, we're going to diversify the characters, it's like, just create a good new character.
Exactly. Yeah. They seem incapable of that.
I mean, and that's, you know, you've got people in the crowdfunding sphere who are trying to create their own new characters. And it doesn't, I mean, my Jungle Girl, she's Mexican American. My superheroine is from Puerto Rico. You know, my pulp detective is a redhead from upstate New York. I mean, it's, you can make people, you know, all my protagonists are women, you know, so, you know, you can have a book that represents and shows people heroically, and catches somebody's imagination and does well. Just try to write it well and tell an entertaining story. And
well, X was still popular in the 80s.
Instead of saying, well, Captain America's already got a built-in audience, so let's steal that audience and make Captain America somebody else.
Right.
Or let's make Iron Man somebody else, so that the Iron Man audience, but the Iron Man audience isn't going to accept somebody else as Iron Man. They've been reading Iron Man for 20 years. They know who Iron Man is. Right. You know, so, you know, it's Miles Morales, good character.
Yeah,
he's never going to be Spider-Man. He's never going to be Spider-Man. He can be a Spider-Man. Just like Kyle Rayner can be a Green Lantern, or what's his name can be a Green Lantern. John Stewart can be a Green Lantern. You know, because there's a Green Lantern Corps. There, you can have all kinds of Green Lanterns. Yeah. And the comic book readers understand that. They've had all kinds of Green Lanterns the whole time.
Right.
It's just you're focusing on this one or you're focusing on that one in a particular story.
I hate that
you can't take Superman and suddenly he's not Clark Kent anymore, and he's not from Kansas, and he's not, you know, that's, people aren't going to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, the readers aren't, and the new readers aren't going to accept it because they know what Superman's supposed to be. You're not going to bring in new readers just because it's a different color or a different gender or a different sexual identity. They're not going to come in to read this, not what the character is. But if you gave them a good character that's new, that's got interesting stories, that's, you know, if you gave them that, maybe you could capture their imagination and maybe you'd actually get a hit and you'd develop a hit. Superman, you know, I mean, there were tons of characters in the 40s that got one 8-page story in all Tops comics or all Crime comics or whatever, and then were never heard of again.
Yeah,
you know, and some of them wrote
public domain now. You can go anywhere with them.
But I'm saying some of those characters developed into Superman and Batman and, you know, whatever, and some of them were never heard from again. But unless you try, you don't get, you know, I mean, 60 years from now, somebody's crowdfunded book, that character could become super popular. I was there when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 came out.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah.
I mean, you know,
nobody knew about it. Nobody knew about it.
I remember that not so greatly drawn black and white book about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It was an underground. It was underground artwork. It was, looking back on it, it was like, wow, it's amazing this ever went anywhere.
You know, but it built an audience. It, you know, and now it's had toys, it's had movies. It didn't start off that way.
Yeah. No, it didn't.
So you got to develop your character and build your charter up and develop an audience, and it takes work.
It sold well, and they got together with a guy that was a bit good with business and marketing, And then out came the cartoon and the Hasbro deal for the verse figures, and they were off and running at that point. But it took a few years from the publication of the first books for it to really grow and grow, and then they had to take it to the next level. It was the same way with McDonald's franchise. They had a chain of restaurants, but it took not Ed Koch, it took Koch coming in the 50s and saying, we can go national with this, we can go franchise with this, and lifting the lid and going higher with it. Yeah.
But so instead of creating a great new character or creating a bad new character and developing it into a great character, or whatever, and just working at it, they want to shortcut the process and get eyes on a different character, but by using the name of somebody who's more well-known.
Yeah.
And all it does is turn off the people who like the more well-known character. It doesn't bring in anybody.
Well, why don't you like Alan Scott as a gay man? I mean, sure, he fought Nazis back in the, but I mean, now he's all of a sudden he's gay.
Yeah, I mean, you basically lost the plot. You gotta work to make your character popular. You can't just steal their popularity because there was another character with the same name.
Yeah.
In the past. I mean,
well, some of these writers seem hostile to the readership, Paul.
I agree. I
mean, they're downright hostile.
But Rex, we're old men, so they don't. What they have completely forgotten is we have the money.
Yeah, disposable income. That's important, isn't it?
We have disposable income. We can go buy stuff. Some of the audience they're trying to get is at a stage in their life where they don't have any money. And with the internet and internet piracy of copyrighted stuff, the audience doesn't have to spend any money if they don't want to. They can just steal it. So, it's you got to make people want to give you their money.
Yeah. Don't you think us old men though? This was brought up today by Randy Zimmerman of Arrow Comics on another broadcast I was on. He was like, it's up to us that are in the know to keep this old stuff like Wallywood and other creators alive in the minds of the newer readership.
I agree. And that's, and we started off. This is why I push AC Comics so hard, because that's the kind of stuff that they do, that they've been doing for 40 years is, keeping older comic books and older ideas about comic books alive.
Because there was a time I didn't know who Jack Kirby was. There was a time I didn't know who Don Heck was, or Steve Ditko, or I had to learn all that stuff.
I mean, as a kid, I read tons of comic books. Did I really know who the artists and writers were? No. I couldn't have told you anything Dick Ayers did until Dick Ayers started drawing Femforce.
Yeah. And he did tons of westerns. And then
Bill would talk about in his publisher page or whatever about Dick did this, Dick did that, and then I'm like, oh, I remember that book. I read that as a kid. I didn't even know that was Dick Ayers.
Brought it to your public consciousness, didn't it?
And so unless somebody's telling you this stuff and keeping it alive, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah.
And I tell this story all the time. As a kid, one of my very first comic book was a Flash comic book with Kath and Cold. And I can kind of remember kind of what the cover looked like.
Carmen Infantino.
This would have been 1971 or so, probably. But one of the earlier books I read was The Avengers.
Yeah. Good for you.
And, and then I went from The Avengers and I started reading, then I got into Conan and read Sonya. And then book came out from DC that I started to like, Infinity Incorporated.
Oh yeah,
and
Roy Thomas.
So, well,
Todd McFarlane started in that book.
He did. Yes, he did. But it wasn't until years later that I connected the dots on those early Avengers issues, and then read Sonya and Conan, and then Infinity Incorporated, and said, "Oh, Roy Thomas wrote every single one of these."
Well, up to the early 80s, Paul, it really wasn't focused on the colorist, on the inker, on the artist, on the writer. It was only through the popularity, I think, of like books like X-Men and some of the things they were doing in the 80s, the limited series, like, oh, Mike Zeck's doing the Punisher, or oh, Barry Windsor Smith's doing Machine Man, that really we were aware of, oh, we got Watchmen here, and all of a sudden the writer, you know the artist.
Well, that's the thing. And so I never, when I was reading the books as a kid, I didn't know it, but I was following Roy Thomas from book to different company to book to book. And I didn't know I was doing that, but obviously I liked Roy Thomas's storytelling.
Yeah.
In retrospect,
I know a title you liked. Let me focus my X power. All-Star Squadron by Roy Thomas.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's, even as a kid, I had a preference for a certain kind of comic book writing, I guess. And obviously Roy Thomas was hitting all those notes for me. And so when I pick up books at the newsstand and read them, his were the books that I would buy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, those older guys, people didn't even know who they were, but they were still following their work.
Yeah.
And, and so, and I got, through knowing Bill Black and because he did so many reprints and he knew so many of these Golden Age guys, I got to meet Frank Boley, I got to meet Nick Cardy. These are the guys who were there at the beginning.
Nick Cardy's one of the ones in the running for the most Bronze Age covers, probably him and Gil Kane and maybe Al Milgrom. He's done a lot of covers.
He was doing work in the 40s as Nick Viscardi.
Yeah. Oh, George Tuska is another one.
George Tuska, I had George Tuska. I've got little con sketches from all those guys.
Wow.
And they were 80s, at that time. By the time I got a con sketch, they were in their 70s, 80s, 90s, But, I actually got to work with Dick Ayers on I commissioned a piece from him where he penciled his Ghost Rider Western character on top the horse.
Right, called Knight Rider now.
Well, yeah, that's what they call him now.
Yeah, but originally he called Ghost Rider.
It was the Ghost Rider. Magazine Enterprises Ghost Rider. He drew that character and the horse, penciled it. Ed Coots drew one of AC's characters called Buckaroo Betty. He penciled that. And then Dick Ayers inked Ed's pencils, and Ed inked Dick's pencils.
Well, now, is Rick Ayers his son?
I don't know.
Because I've got to sign Dick Ayers and Rick Ayers.
Maybe, possibly. I don't know.
I'm like, who's Rick Ayers? I don't know him, but I've got his autograph.
Probably is his son.
Yeah, probably his son. I was thinking.
But so then Ed painted it, and it ended up being used as a cover for Best of the West, AC's Best of the West reprint series, issue number 43.
Best of the West.
If you go back in your collection and look at Best of the West issue 43, that is a cover with Dick Ayers and Ed Coots, where each one inked the other one. And but
now
that was me. I've got the originals of that.
That Roy Rogers is from One of the Best of the West, and he sent me, because of that book being damaged, when I first started dealing with him, he signed it Bill Black, and he dated it 2014, so I know when it was. He sent me one of the approval covers to one of the sort of odd, shaped books. It was, it's about like this, like a square.
AC
almost like a big little book,
They have every size book you can imagine.
Yeah.
Whatever paper stock and cover stock they had left over, they turned it into a book, because they were trying to survive. They had to cut costs. They had to figure out how to make money on these books. And
well, that's how the Big Little books came about.
Yeah.
He didn't want to waste this block of paper. It was
you don't want to waste it. Exactly.
Sheared off, cut off, and he's like, I could make a Big Little book out of that. And he puts a cardboard cut. This one's from 1939. I don't know how they did the numbering, but this is 1,477 in 1939.
Yeah. Wow.
They were pumping these things out, man. They go back to the mid 30s with these, like with Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon and Dick Tracy. By 1939, they're already up to almost 1,500 issues with these. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. But so where do I see it going? I see some crowdfunders hitting it with having a character or book that becomes very popular, and that starts to swing it back in the direction of people reading comic books again. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be tough because you don't have a new generation that's come up reading comic books. So you don't have a new audience to take the place of our age group.
No more spinner racks. You can't just have a chance encounter when you find these books.
So there are just fewer people who read comic books.
Yeah.
That's my son.
Oh, okay.
And there's my dog.
And there's your dog. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you take Lainey for a walk, please?
Do I have to?
Yeah.
Is Mama?
Your mother's on big. She's gone for the weekend, bud.
Oh yeah.
It never changes. It never changes. I've got a confession to make, Paul. I said the same thing to my dad. Do I have to?
You have to. That
never changes.
So
we
had I lived in an apartment most of my growing up, but then we bought a house, and the house had a decent amount of land around it, and it had a ton of trees. And every fall, the leaves would fall off these damn trees, and my dad would ask me to go rake the leaves.
Yeah,
and I'm like, do I have to rake the leaves? Because it was like we had like 3 acres. I mean, there was a ton of leaves.
That's a lot.
And
that's tons. You're going to be at it all week long.
By the time I was probably 12, 13, I'm like, Dad, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Every year, come about the middle of September, we lay out mesh. We lay out mesh around the whole yard. And then the leaves will fall on the mesh, and then the mesh has like a drawstring around it, and you can just fold up the corners and pull the drawstring. And then we can pull it. We won't have to rake any leaves. We just have to pull the mesh down to the gully, dump the leaves in the gully, and then we fold the mesh up until we need them the next.
That's genius. Yeah.
My dad's like, go rake the leaves.
You should have marketed that, Paul. It might have worked. Sure, it kills the grass, but it's going dormant by that time anyway. It'll come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when he's like, do I have to? I'm like, I know where he's coming from, but
oh yeah, it never changes.
Just like my dad was like, go rake the leaves.
Yeah. Wow, 3 acres, man. I've got new respect for you after that
Oh
story.
man.
That's a lot. I
And
used to have to push.
it was on a hill too.
I had to push mow 5 acres. Push mow.
Oh.
And there was an area where the former owners had a garden, so it was real rough.
Yeah. So our house sat on a hill.
Yeah.
And one of the hills went down to a gully, and we shared the gully with a guy who had a house on the hill next to us, and his yard went down into the gully. And so we'd just throw our dead wood and leaves, we'd just throw it down into that gully. But because it was a hill and it was that much land, my dad bought a riding mower, but he didn't want to take it where it was too steep. So he just would let that part grow. So we ended up with like a deer preserve. In about an acre of it was just unmowed, overgrown. Deer lived back in there. So I didn't have to worry about that, But he did the mowing because he had a riding mower, so I didn't have to mow the lawn, but I had to rake the leaves. So.
And that was a lot of raking. I'm feeling you, brother. And and even, I mean, golly, if you never, I don't have near that out here, and I'm raking all the time. By the time you get it cleaned up, some more fall.
And that's the other thing. I was always like, can't we just wait another couple weeks till all the leaves are down?
It's never ending process. It's never ending process.
Yeah. But I'd get out. We had this big canvas tarp, and I'd lay the tarp out, and I'd rake as many leaves onto it as I could, and then I'd have to like grab all the 4 ends and try to hold on to them, and I'd drag them down into this gully, and then I'd have to walk back. After doing that, I had to walk back up this steep hill so I could rake more leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not my fun time of the year.
Kids don't realize how easy they have it now, Paul.
Yeah. No, they don't. No,
and we weren't like the previous generation.
Oh, absolutely not.
They could work us under the table. It's like, get out there and rake those leaves.
Yeah.
But you know what? If they're really honest, they didn't like to do it either.
No, I mean that's why I say I know where he's coming from. I just it's like,
it's been a long time since we had to like build log cabins to live in and cut our way. It's a matter of survival at that point, but it's not been that way for a while now. So one of my summer jobs in high school, my uncle had a contracting business, and one of my summer jobs was to work for him in his contracting business. So he'd be contracted to do whatever in a particular job, but it always seemed to involve insulation. So there'd be these like semi trucks full of fiberglass insulation, and because I was a high school football player, I was big and strong. Oh, yeah.
So I got to unload the insulation, and
oh joy,
it's 90 degrees. It's and you got to wear long sleeve shirts and long pants. That stuff will cut you up.
It will.
And it's kind of okay at the beginning because you're just basically tipping it out of the back of the semi, and then you can walk it over to wherever you got to walk it to. It's 90 degrees, but it's okay. You're young. Once you got to the back of the semi where you were clearing you've gotten everything from the front. Now you're slowly working your way backwards till you're almost to the, to the full inside, all the way to the back. Well, now it's 115 degrees because, there's no air movement.
You're right.
Worst job I've ever had was
the metal's heating up,
unloading insulation in the middle of July, from the back of semis. And I mean, I got done that summer, and I told my father, I'm like, I'm going to go to school so I can get a job inside. I want an inside job where I got air conditioning.
Son, what are you complaining about? It builds character.
I was like, you don't have to worry about me paying attention to school, Dad, because I am definitely going to work my butt off in school, so I don't have to do this anymore. You know?
Yeah, smart you. Well, Paul,
Yeah.
it's been a joy. I hate to break it off, but I've got to go mail, and I think
I get it.
But yeah, but it's been a joy. Don't wait another year to come back, okay?
I won't. I mean, this is I enjoy talking to you, and I'll maybe next time I'll show you some preview artwork from my superheroine book.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. Yeah, I mean, you got some good stuff in the works, and you got that sensibility of what a hero and a role model is. Not everybody has that anymore. It seems like.
Yeah. Yep. Well, my Jungle Girl character, she gets into trouble and she gets herself out of it.
There you go. Well, you just had it, the Rex and Paul show.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it. Keep collecting. We'll hell the mighty chat. Go support either on Indiegogo or
Fund My Comic. And the book is available, so I'll have a copy out to you right away.
Right.
If you order it. I usually
either physical or digital.
Yeah, within 2 days, usually I get it to the post office.
There you go. So, you could have it in your hands and enjoy that TNA.
Yeah, and if you're, I mean, the crowdfunders get a little extra stuff too sometimes. So.
Oh yeah, the tchotchkes and stuff. Yeah.
So,
and like exclusive stuff, right? Just in the campaigns. Yeah.
So
well, Paul, good luck with the book. Like I say, come back. Let's talk comics again, man. I always enjoy it.
Sounds good. You have a good one, Rex.
You too, bro.